Hey everyone, back by popular demand. What everybody's been asking for, another crossover episode with David Yontef. I'm going to take responsibility for us not having some episodes in the last couple months because we had a great end of the year episode. And then
Mhm.
between the fires and my getting married and moving and promoting the special that was on NBC and Peacock, I have been hard to pin down anywhere. I mean, we moved so many times, it was ridiculous.
Really? I don't think I knew you moved that many times. Yes, this is popular demand because everyone has been asking, where the hell's Melissa? And I've said pretty much what you said. I'm like, well, I mean, you do know she lived in Pacific Palisades, right? So let's start with that. She got married, the special. Then I think when the special was on, everyone was like, okay, so she's been busy.
Yes, and also what people don't realize, I talked about it once, is we moved 5 times,
I didn't know
3 of
that.
which were in the first 2 weeks of after the fire.
Were
So
you
it
just renting places and they just
No,
didn't
we were
want
bouncing between friends' houses because nobody really knew what to do, what was going on. We spent one night in a hotel, and Cooper freaked out because that's when we were having the 60-mile-an-hour winds, and he came to see us, and plus all of his stuff, he was supposed to actually officially move out the day after the fires, so all of his stuff, but which rightly so, he went to the front desk as he was leaving and said, "Are you gonna give people enough warning to get out of the hotel?" Like a ready, set, go. He's like, "Oh, no, no, we're just gonna be on go." And the hotel was obviously it was in Santa Monica, crazy, swamp, the whole thing, people everywhere, and he's like, "I need you to leave right now." So we went to his place, which he hadn't moved into yet. Basically, he had, like, half a duffel bag of clothes, but, like, no towels, no this, no that, and then we moved to a friend's house. So it was just a lot, and then deciding if we were gonna still have the wedding, and
which
we
you
did,
did.
and then came home and moved into the house we're in now the week after the wedding.
I've had 9,000 people ask me how the wedding was, what happened. Then when I said I wasn't, I said it's a small wedding, guys. No one, they wanted me to spill tea about how the wedding was. I'm like, I wasn't there. It was in People magazine. I'm like, you can go online and look.
Yeah, it was great. We had a wonderful
It looked
time.
nice.
It really was our closest. Um, it was lovely, and I knew before we were going in that friends of mine who, were very good friends. I've been very lucky that I've kept a very large circle of friends from college, all from different groups. But we always joke that Penn, whatever they did in admissions that year, they did a really good job because there is a very tight-knit group of about 19 of us
Wow.
that are in constant contact, and then Anne and Steve's people. So it was everyone had a reason to be there.
Yeah.
So it was a blast. We had a great time. Um, like, people are already saying, "Can we do a vow renewal next year?" I'm like, "If you guys pay for it."
You're like, okay, first of all, you're still doing stuff on the new house. You're like,
Yeah.
can I just not do anything next
I'm
year?
like, "If you guys wanna organize it and pay for it, hey, I am all for it."
Maybe a
But
destination vow renewal.
maybe just everyone can pick the same weekend to go away. Because someone actually
Yeah.
said to me, he goes, "The rate was so good." I go, "We're not gonna get the rate. That was, like, because of the wedding,
Yeah.
you idiots."
Could just fake someone's wedding, I
Yeah,
guess.
I'm not paying for it.
That
I'm not
makes sense.
Yeah. So a bunch of us, I think, are all gonna make it, like, our annual trip.
And the special was amazing.
Thank you. Worked very, very hard on that, and, very proud of it.
Watch What Happens appearance. Watch What
Yes,
Happens live.
with one of the guys from Below Deck.
Were
So,
you, out of all the people to be there with, were you just like,
well, they made sure because they know I'm a Below Deck junkie. Oh, they had a quiz for me, and one of them was really annoying because it was Malia, and I got it wrong, but it was Malia when she had blonde hair, not brown
Ah,
hair, so I insisted on getting a half a point for that. Not that I'm
that's fair.
competitive, but it was really fun, and, um, oh, well, the finale's already aired, so I got to meet Nate's girlfriend, um, so that kinda stuff, and he was trying to be very diplomatic, and I called the original bosun a weenie on the air. He was like, "Well," I'm like, "No, he was a weenie."
I didn't even know there was a replace bosun. So
Exact
you,
wouldn't you s will you please start
I know.
watching?
Frasier's back with whatever is about to happen, so that's a good reason to watch.
Absolutely. So, that's just been going on. Cooper's working, Steve is working, I'm working.
All right, so some normalcy.
So, first of all, new Housewives franchise, which I think is the most random one they've ever decided to do, but you explained it to me. Housewives of Rhode Island. Now, when I think of Rhode Island, I think of quaint seaside village, but there is more to the state.
You think it's more random than Salt Lake, even?
Well, Salt Lake, you had the whole Mormon culture, people who were, people who weren't, people lived by different sets of rules, kind of thing. So I thought that to me made sense.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Rhode Island, I think quaint seaside.
Well, I think part of it, well, I think, look, Salt Lake has worked so well. I think they really are trying to breathe life into these older franchises. Like Atlanta's having some problems now. Jersey, we don't know what's going on. New York, we don't know what's going on. I think that, if you think about it, like there's so much, if you get it right, there's so many years left in a franchise. So I think that's like their new, because the rumor is they're also sniffing around in Chicago and trying to put something together there.
Chicago would be great. Chicago,
That
but
makes more sense
why?
to
You
you.
have a theory on why Rhode Island.
Well, I two things. So people started reaching out to me like a year ago, and everybody reaches out to me when they're in the mix, which, they get one call, and I'm like, okay, this is going to go in one ear and out the other ear. Then people, they were getting really far in the mix, and it was a lot of them, and they were all kind of, they had there is an accent in Rhode Island.
Oh, yeah.
There is an accent, and they were all Italian-ish. And I said this, I don't want any credit for anything, but I said to myself, like way back on this podcast, on my own podcast, I'm like, this sounds like they're trying to like do something with Jersey and Rhode Island. Like, because every person that was far along in the mix seemed like the same type. I mean, Andy has now come out and said it's going to give New Jersey a run for its money. Is it going to replace New Jersey? I don't know. I mean, we don't have New Jersey, but I think they don't know what to do with New Jersey. And I think they're hoping this works. I think if it works, I mean, I don't know.
What is going on in New Jersey?
Well, we still listen, it hasn't been on the air since last August. So it's been a year.
Okay, but they've had other ones running, so okay, I can buy a year.
You can buy a year, but there's no filming, there's no cast, nobody knows. People are still like, is it Teresa or Melissa? I really truly think, I think there's got to be a plan, but I just don't think they know what to do. I really don't. I know
Well,
there's a
because you
lot
were
of people.
telling me the
Yeah.
other day, which I didn't know about, is Teresa and Melissa, they have to pick one, they both won't come back.
Well, I think that, last year, Teresa didn't speak to Melissa at all in the whole season. And I mean, I'm not putting it on Teresa because Melissa didn't speak, and they didn't speak to each other. I truly believe, I mean, Melissa would come back and speak to Teresa. That's my honest opinion. Teresa has thrown down and has just been like, I will never speak to them again. I do think part of it is they're hoping. Like you say, you're not going to speak to someone. I don't think Teresa's in any different a place now, a year later. But think of all the people you wouldn't speak to 5 years ago. Maybe you'd speak to one of them now. Maybe.
Yeah, it depends, but Teresa's in a whole world of trouble right now. Like,
There's a lot going
there
on.
is a lot going on with her that maybe she's realizing I shouldn't put all these problems out there because a lot of them are financial.
A lot, which I mean, and again, it's like, I mean, wouldn't that look? You know
It
what it
Okay,
is?
wait, it would make good TV, but is it deep enough that even she's like, "I don't want this on TV."
Well, I personally think she would do anything for the check. I mean, it's a big check and there's no shade in that. I would take the check and do whatever. Here's the difference. I think that even if Teresa wanted to walk this back and speak to Melissa, which I don't think she does, it's gone too far with us, the audience. Like the audience won't buy it now. They would have. I mean, there were many years that Teresa and Melissa filmed and had a truce and made up when they really truly hated each other behind the scenes. But we all kind of bought it. Like it's gone so far that even if they went to Bravo, which they're not going to do, I don't think like we don't believe it. Like what happened? What changed? Nothing as of today.
So maybe New Jersey has run its course.
I think it's run its course. And a lot of it's because of New York. They rebooted New York with all new people, and that's a disaster. So I don't think they're ever going to reboot a franchise again. Like I think they know if we reboot New Jersey, what's so they are rebooting New Jersey in Rhode
Yeah,
Island.
yeah. So I guess my question is, do you think they've done too many? And that if they come out with a new one, it needs to be super strong. Because I am surprised they never got New York back on track.
They never got New York back on track. Now, there was an article, a lot of people thought that that New York is canceled because Andy said something and then Page Six ran with it. And then Andy had to say, what's all this about? We're not canceled. We're just in between seasons trying to figure out casting. But again, like remember back in the day when the show ended and we had casting figured out in 2 weeks?
Yeah.
I mean, figuring out casting, that's not a great sign. That doesn't mean you have anyone.
Well, I don't think what people understand is there has to be chemistry.
Correct.
There has to be positive or negative chemistry. Casting is a jigsaw puzzle. It's not like, "Oh, these are my friends, let's follow us." It's really it's complicated, which is why when it works like Beverly Hills. It is all crazy upon crazy. By the way, I saw Kathy Hilton in person at an event, and we chatted for a little while. She looks unbelievable.
Yeah.
I mean, and you know me, I will get up there and, really look. Oh my god. Oh
I've
my
seen her in
god.
person too. It's great. It's all good.
It's the best I've ever seen her look. Like, and I also, at this QVC event, met Long Island Medium, and I wanted to take a picture so that I could get up in the hair when we were taking the picture, so I made sure she was sitting and I was, like, over this way, so I could really see what was going on in that hair, and it looked like a lot of teasing and hairspray, but actually hers. Am
Did
I
you
a bad
ask?
person for that?
No, that's not bad at all. I mean, look, she's known for her hair. We love Teresa Caputo. I've had her on here, and she invited me to one of her shows, and I went. I'm somewhat in the middle on that, and it was just like, I mean, it was. You think you're going for a night, but I mean, even me with my cold black heart was like in tears basically by the end of it
Yeah,
because the people she reads, I mean, I don't know, it's
yeah,
really
but I got up in that hair, you know?
well.
And I had my glasses on, so we know it wasn't, like, blurry. But going back to Beverly Hills, 'cause I forgot that
Did you
t
ask Kathy for her surgeon?
Kathy asked me for my skin person,
Okay.
which I
Well, that's a
thought
compliment.
that was a compliment,
Yeah.
because she's feels like she's getting some spots, and she's like, "Your skin is amazing," and I'm like, "I'm not gonna lie, I have lasered the shit out of my skin getting ready for the wedding," so she wanted my laser person. But she
Okay,
looks
well,
good. I mean, she looks, I think, better than any of them right now.
yeah.
The hair's softer, like, she looks awesome, but you said there is, with Beverly Hills, all sorts of moving pieces.
Well, Garcelle left, so we know that. I think everyone is probably going to come back, but they're still trying to fill Garcelle's role, which the rumor is they're going to bring two people in to replace one.
But why did Garcelle leave? What have you heard? What was the real reason Because I love Garcelle. She is so lovely. I know her. I know but again, I know someone. I'm not in their everyday life, but every interaction I've had with Garcelle has been positive.
Well, she says, look, she is producing movies and she's busy and she's an actress. I mean, for all we know, she could be, they could be announcing some, at upfronts what the fall lineup is. And she could be on like CSI and whatever, she might have a part, but she says she wants to spend more time with her kids. It's their last year in high school. Look, she was at the reunion and she walked out and basically quit. I think it had to do with Sutton and Kyle because like Sutton, they were going around and saying what the best part of their season was. And Garcelle's one friend, Sutton Garcelle, said basically Sutton. I forgot the exact things. And when it came to Sutton, she said the fact that I'm, kind of becoming friends with Erica again. And Garcelle's sitting there like the what? Like no one has my back on this cast. And like Sutton is accused of kissing up to Kyle. And then also, I think they were all going around and pretending like Morgan Wade doesn't exist because Kyle asked them not to mention her before the season starts. Even Andy is pretending. And Andy said, well, hopefully next season we'll see you maybe dating. And Garcelle was looking around like, what? Like, this isn't reality. Like, she is dating, possibly. I mean, I think she's dating. And Garcelle is just like, I'm in the Twilight Zone. I mean, she didn't say this, but she then walked out after the whole Kyle thing and the Sun thing. That's why I think she
So
left.
because I didn't see it, she literally got up and walked off set.
She said, well, then it was time. It was ending, and they said, let's take a cast picture. This was like, and she's like, I'm out of here. I'm not doing a picture. And she just walked to her dressing room and she's like, I'm out of here. Fuck this. And then she's like, peace out. And then apparently everyone that was there, like Erica then did some interview and was like, she did leave. So I think like they knew before us that this was the end.
Mhm. And what about Kyle? What's gonna go on there?
Listen, the people are not so happy with Kyle these days. People are just not feeling it. They're like, which listen, that's what happened with Teresa. Like it happens, like I don't even blame these people, right? Like I just think if you are like the number one on the show after so many years, the people just come for you eventually, right? Like it's not fair or unfair. It just seems to be the way it works.
Well, they become exhausting and sometimes don't have necessarily the self-awareness to change or have been boxed in so much by the network that this is your role that it starts to get, tiring. Like, people are like, "Give me something else."
Give me something else. Well, Kyle, look, she's not in jeopardy of losing her job.
No.
I think she's the most protected housewife at the moment. People joke that it's her show. I mean, it is.
It is.
Yeah, it is.
It is Kyle's show.
It is Kyle's show. And by the way, I've spoken to people on the cast that have said, thank God, because Kyle produces like from within. She is there, but she goes over to people, if you really watch closely, and like brings them in where she's not involved in a conversation and tries to bring things out of them. So I really do think Kyle wants to make a good show and knows how to do it. And she's like a producer who's also one, which is as a producer, that's not an easy skill.
No, but you also know what you need. You know what you need, and at one point, you're like, "Okay, I'm just gonna get what we need
Right.
because
And I
I'm done for the
Right.
day."
That is where I think Kyle's at. But I think people are like, Morgan's there. So to talk about that, talk more about Mauricio. It's over. Like just share because everyone else is sharing and we're just tired of it. You have two standards here. And
Do
Andy seems to have two standards and everybody, the network seems to have two standards. So I think people are coming for Kyle.
do you think Kyle and Morgan are still together? Because 'Cause they've been completely underground.
I think they're still together. I do. I didn't for a long time. I was like, everyone just calm down. I think Kyle's totally in love. Yes, I really do. It's my honest opinion.
That's interesting. Well, speaking of couples that have gone really underground,
Yes,
Taylor and Travis have
your favorites.
literally gone underground. Just recently, the first pictures of them out have come out, and it was, someone taking pictures in a restaurant. Like, you can see they are completely candid. I think that's the smartest thing they could have done, and it
Why?
because they both I think their people both knew there was saturation. People were getting sick of it. It was like, "Enough already," you know? And I think to me, it proves that it's a real relationship. They had basically a year and a half of constant coverage. You could not get away from it if you tried. And I kind of love the fact that for them, they are now living a private life and having a private conversation. The one thing I do have to say is there was a picture that came out where Travis was changing his shirt, and he calls himself his nickname is the Big Yeti, but he was changing his shirt and he had, like, massive back hair.
I
So that's
saw that.
that's like, oh, so Taylor doesn't mind back hair? I don't know, that there's something about that that just made me but that's just me.
I wasn't such a fan of it
And so, like, oh
myself.
yeah, and so but, like, now you and I were chatting, if he waxes it, he's gonna get made fun of.
Yeah.
But I guess Taylor likes running her hands through back hair. I don't know.
And you
But
don't think that they were hiding out because they just don't want to deal with Blake or Ryan or
I
that
I
whole.
think that is all part of it. I think they are actively sh actively making sure that they are not in the public eye.
I don't know why Taylor Swift would ever want to go out to eat. Like, it's got to be like, I know you're surrounded by people and you're roped off and we're at the restaurant, but it's got to be exhausting just for a night out.
But you just wanna also, sometimes you just
Be
wanna be
normal.
normal. You
I
wanna be
get
able
it.
to go out, and I really think whoever decided, or if they decided that it was time to go under, brilliant, and I hope it puts a lot of, rumors to rest that it was a manufactured relationship. And I think she's taking a break, he's just starting to get ready for the next season. She probably, because she is so prolific, is writing music. She's always writing. I mean, she wrote an entire album while she was on tour. And I think the Blake Ryan Justin thing has driven them underground. Like, we want zero to do with this because this is
Yeah.
really getting even uglier. And Ryan's now been drug into it that people are coming out and saying he's not such a nice guy.
They are. And, her team had to make that statement that, like, Taylor's had nothing to do with this movie. They've used a song of hers, period, the end.
And I
What
don't
is all this
think
about?
any friend wants to hear that you use their friendship to leverage a situation.
No, because that's the whole world, right? Like everyone Taylor beats or any famous person, but certainly Taylor, you just assume you're using me for because I have a gazillion trillion dollars or just uber fame. So I imagine you are on guard all the time about this is why ultra celebrities only hang out with similar. I get it, right? Because you just
Yeah.
assume that most everyone else wants something from you. That's got to be absolutely exhausting.
Or people from your way past.
They come out of the woodwork.
Yeah. And I think that there really was a deep friendship there. And it's going to be very interesting if Blake and Taylor can repair their friendship.
I'm not so sure.
Oh,
I'm
and
being a
we're not
little
gonna see
pessimistic.
yeah, we're not gonna see them together until this whole lawsuit blows over.
Completely.
I
Like
mean
that is the one thing I love. It Taylor is almost like her team is like Chris Jenner level. Like she don't play around, right? Because there's so much to lose, even if the friendship is okay. Right. I agree. She's not going to be seen with her until this is over. Like she's not going to risk it.
no, there's no way. I mean, Taylor's team is brilliant. Um, I wanna jump ahead because we are gonna get to Diddy. You brought up Kris Jenner level, who I think is the smartest woman alive. Kylie and Timothée Chalamet finally made a red carpet appearance after a year and a half. Now, I don't know if Chris was part of this master plan or that Kylie said, "This is my life. This is what I'm doing. I'm in love with them. It's a legitimate, real, we are in love with each other relationship." And Chris had to sort of step back as a mom and let it be. Or it's been this giant master plan, which Chris has been known to do.
Shockingly, I think, I mean, me pessimistic, like nobody's belief. I think this is the latter, where Kylie, I think this is a real relationship. I think Kris Jenner is the most brilliant woman alive. I agree, Kathy Hilton and Kris Jenner. I mean, I would take advice from either of them. I think they're really in love. And like, look, Timothy's really serious. Like, he's at award shows and in interviews, he says, like, I want to be one of the greats. Like, this is great. Love all this praise for Dylan. Like, I got a lot of work to do. Like, he's a serious actor. So, I mean, I think they've discussed it. Like, he's not on her social media with her 300 something thousand followers, 300 million followers. Can you even imagine that? He has 19 million. Like, he is just like, that is your work. I understand you need to take selfies 24/7 because that's how you make your money. And I think it's a real relationship. And they specifically, like, if he walks for a movie on the red carpet and he's with Kylie, let's face it, she will just get more attention, period. And it will take away from what he is there. And I think she's fine with that. I think she's like, yeah, this is your job. I don't want to take away from that. So I think it was very strategic not to be, and they're still not on each other's Instagrams, but not to do a carpet together.
Well, and even, like, at the Oscars, she went in the back. It's not like they didn't do
Yeah.
it together. Kylie is just flat out not doing the carpets.
Yep.
Like, it was a
Right.
big deal when they were seen together at the Knicks game.
Yes, yes, and yes. Like, that was a big deal. Kendall was there, but I think she just doesn't even want to walk the carpet solo. It will just take away from his night, moment. And I think I think it's agreeable. I think it's like, that's why I think it's a real relationship. I think she doesn't need to do that. I mean, look, she seems like they seem really in love to me.
Because they're so private, where most Kardashian relationships are very loud, for lack
Very
of a better.
loud.
They're very loud, they're very out there, you know, Travis and Courtney just, like, sucking face on the red carpet. I mean, they've always been very out there and open. Remember, she was even open with the Pete Davidson relationship, and this one, literally, no one discusses.
No one discusses. I think it's real. I mean, you see, like, when they capture pictures of them, like they were at the US Open or whatever, like the way that she looks at him and he looks at her, I think it's real, which I kind of I like them the way you like Travis and Taylor. I'm just kind of obsessed with the two of them.
Yeah, and I think it's great, and Kim, all sorts of Kim news.
Kim as well. Kim has now, she's not sat for the bar, but she has quote unquote graduated law school, even though she didn't go to law school. It took 6 years, her working hour study equivalent, and they had a ceremony for her, I think in someone's backyard, and she gave a speech. She got a lot of heat for this just because of like, but you put in the time. I mean, you go to law school, it's 3 years. This took 6 years.
Well, and there is something called reading the law, which means
Yes.
if you hit certain markers and work for 6 years and hit all the markers, it is considered the equivalent of law school, but you don't have, like, the fancy degree on your wall, but you still gotta sit for the bar, and what, it took her 4 times to pass the baby bar? Do we think she's actually gonna take the bar? Because you have to be a lawyer, you have to pass the bar.
Well, I
Otherwise,
did
you're just
pass
a
the bar and it ain't,
otherwise, you're just a law school graduate.
you're just a law school graduate. I was going to say, like, I have the fancy degree on my wall and that, and like $2 will get me a cup of coffee on the street of New York.
But
So
you took the bar, which I didn't know, and passed the bar.
I did, but I sat there every day in a library for the entire summer. I mean, when you take the bar, it's like the whole law school. It ends on a Thursday or whatever. The whole law school then on Friday is in the bar review course there's no week off. It's like literally law school ends on a Tuesday. You're in the bar review on a Wednesday, and you then have the most miserable life that entire summer. Not fun.
No, and the bar's no joke, obviously. It's like being a doctor. I mean, it's a whole process.
It's not. So I understand how I passed because I had no life and I was miserable. I don't know how Kim Kardashian when is this? I mean, you can't, like, it's only given twice a year unless it's changed. It was February and July. So like, when are you going to study for this? You're a little busier than David Yontef was sitting in a library. I mean, I had no life. So how is this going to happen? I
But,
don't see
yeah,
it.
I mean, but they're gonna say that she's now a lawyer. They're gonna thread the needle on this one. But good for her for putting in the hours. That is not easy, especially because she's in the new Ryan Murphy All's Fair, and she has now officially become part of sort of that Ryan Murphy troupe of actors that he continuously calls on.
This is the second time, and she has like a starring role. Now, this trailer to me is just like, I haven't been this excited about something in a long time. It's her, Glenn Close, Sarah Paulson, Niecy Nash, and I think somebody else, Naomi Watts, I think. And they play female lawyers, I think divorce lawyers, just that like go after the men and get it all. There's a scene with Kim driving a Bentley and Elizabeth Berkley comes in and she's like starts crying. She's a client. She's like, I'm so sorry. And one of them says, we don't work with sorry people. We only work with winners or something. So it's just, see, you can picture this.
Oh,
Mind you, they have gone like I mean, granted, what are they going to say? But they've asked like Glenn Close and Niecy Nash, like, what was it like working with Kim? And they say she gets, it's the same thing you always hear about the Kardashians. She gets there early. She knows every single line. She's extremely professional. She's studying her lines in between takes. She doesn't mess up. I mean, who can say that?
well,
That's
I'm
pretty
sure they're thrilled that their interviews are now about her.
right. I'm sure Glenn Close appreciates that.
Yeah, it's like it's to be asked once is great. To be asked every interview gets a little exhausting, I'm
Yes.
sure. But you know what? You gotta say about Kim, when she takes something on, she takes it on.
Yeah. And I mean, you are a great business person, Skims and all, but I mean, I can't act. Like, you know what I mean? Maybe I'd be better than I think, but probably not. Like, that's just because you have all these other skills doesn't mean you'd be a good actress. I mean, Madonna tried to act for many years and she's
Yes, she
great at
did.
what right? So, I mean, there you go.
She was great in Desperately Seeking Susan, and I thought she did a good job in Evita. But I
I
wouldn't
would
think of her as, "Ooh, let's gee, Madonna would have been great in that role."
I agree. She was great in Evita and she was great in Desperately Seeking Susan. Then we have lots of other options, Shanghai
Yes.
Surprise and
Oh,
Who's That Girl?
that was a little hard to watch. Um, but good for Kim. I'm gonna say good for Kim, and here's my question, and you might have an answer because I can't figure it out. Every single one of them is, I'm gonna say, public facing, except for Kendall. Do you think it's because Kendall went off and did the modeling thing before a lot of other things happened? Or do you think she just how does she not wh why does she get the buy from Chris? Yeah, like, in a weird way? Like, she doesn't have her own line, she doesn't she tried to have the one line with Kylie, she doesn't have a makeup brand, she doesn't what I mean? She really is an very private, completely different business, different person.
Yeah, except who has the tequila, the 808? Is that
Oh,
Kylie?
yeah, she
Is
has
that
the
Kendall?
that's Kendall, but
So there you
compared to what
that's
all the
that.
rest of them have?
Well, she has done interviews before where she has said, you know, this was just thrust on me. Like I was this young and she's like, I don't enjoy it. I don't want to be famous. Now, granted, that's really easy to say. Like, you want to see what the other life's like, Kendall? Do you really want that? I'm not so sure. But
Yeah, most runway models do not have the best, most opulent lives.
right. Right. It's a hard life being a model. You go from like gig to gig unless you're like a supermodel, and even then. So, yeah, I mean, she has said, I don't enjoy being famous. I mean, I was born into this reality TV thing, and, I'm shy. I have social anxiety. So maybe that's why.
It's interesting. It's interesting where you watch Chris being a businesswoman and running a major company versus the mom side, which you're seeing with Kylie and Timothée and with Kendall. I think that's we haven't even really you never think of Chris that way.
You don't. Well, this is why when there's interviews and they're all asked, I mean, they all say, like, Chloe always says it. She's like, it's very clear. Kim and Kylie are my mother's favorites, period. She's like, it's that simple. I mean, she's like, that will never change. It just depends on what day of the week it is. It will always be one of those two. There you go.
There you go. There you have it. So the big story that isn't going away is our friend Diddy. And Kid Cudi just had to testify about when he was dating Cassie and allegedly Diddy had his car blown up. And in the midst of all this, yesterday, Cassie went into labor. I mean,
That's
could this be any
crazy.
more of a daytime soap opera?
Did anything, I mean, I was looking over her test. I mean, some of it was just crazy. Well, you know what, Diddy's, right, when it was the assistant, the one that dated Kid Cudi, she was saying this story that I guess there was some award show and she had all these like jewelry or watches from Jacob the jeweler. And I guess they opened the thing and like the watches were gone or all the things. And they were going to Miami and Diddy's like, I'm going. You're going to stay here and deal with this. And I guess someone came to her house and picked her up and brought her to some boardroom. And there was some huge bodyguard on the other end. And they said, you're taking a lie detector. Because she's like, I don't have the jewels. And I think it went on for like 10 days because she was so nervous. The results were all over the place. And for 10 days, they kept calling her back. Out. She was there for like 15 hours a day until she got a completely negative lie detector of like, okay, you didn't steal the jewels.
Whatever happened to them? I don't even remember this story.
Well, I don't remember the story, but I just read that this was part of her testimony. And I was like, what? So every day, and I think they also said, either you're going to get a negative test or you're going to end up in the East River. I think that was a
Well, that's
exact,
nice.
right? Isn't that nice?
That's
So I
nice.
think at that point, if you stole the jewels, you would just somehow have someone drive them over and leave them there, right? So you just like, we found them. But the more you hear Diddy, it's like, wow.
Yeah. And Kid Cudi's a big name
Yeah.
to go and testify, especially about having his car blown up and knowing who did it.
Yeah, I don't think, I mean, did you know all this was going on with Diddy? I mean, I didn't know it was this bad with all these
No,
years.
'cause remember the public face was they used to have the big white party, which everybody wanted to be invited to, which was Memorial Day
Yep.
out in your neck of the woods in the Hamptons. And he
Yep.
was seen as a great businessman and super smart, a great producer, better producer than he ever was a performer, but and a brilliant marketer. And then, but everybody has another side. My other side is so boring, it's pathetic. You know what I mean?
I say that too. I'm like, people are like, oh my, what are you talking about? You're out all the time. I'm like, not really. On my other side is really boring. People think my life is way more exciting than it is.
Oh,
You and I would
100%.
get along fine. We'd be
Yeah.
like, I'm like, Melissa, do you want to order Chinese tonight or
Yeah.
pizza?
I mean,
And
literally, that's the discussion we have every night. And
it's a hard
he
decision.
it is. It's a very hard decision, and usually I just whatever we order for lunch, I just order for dinner too. So it's
Me
like a
too.
one-stop shop all day.
I do the exact same thing. If you're coming to this house and knocking on the door with food, we're ordering enough for the entire day. Yes,
Yes, but you are so are now you're in your Hampton house.
I
I know
am.
in your New York apartment, you don't let people in. You don't want anyone sitting on the furniture. You have to wait. You can't eat or drink. The kitchen will
Correct.
never be used. Are we a little more relaxed in the Hamptons?
We're a little more relaxed here just because I bought this from someone else fully furnished. So,
Okay.
you know, it's nice, lovely, just maybe not 100% my style, but nice. We love the tree behind us. But
Mhm.
yes, I am. And it also wasn't brand new. So there's already some things but see, I'm one of these people with a house. I don't know how you are. Maybe now that you have a new house, I'm either like, all or nothing. We're either going to just live with this, like we've been doing, or, and by we, I mean me, or like the vision, if like you do one thing, it's just got to be everything. And I am not doing everything
I was just more
anytime
interested
soon.
if you actually allowed people to sit on the furniture
People,
in the
yes, people
Hampton
here, people
house,
can sleep here, people can come in. Yes.
unlike your New
Yes.
York apartment.
I love how you remember that, but that is still true. That has not changed. You cannot, I mean, you could sit for a minute, but your
Not
hands should be clean. I'd love to know, you know,
Yeah, you don't touch anything in the kitchen.
correct. No,
Um,
you can sit here. This is a nice, relaxed establishment here,
well, I'm so happy that you are allowing your friends to sit. I'm
isn't
very
it?
proud of
And
you.
by the way, I'm much more relaxed here. I'm just like, oh, whatever. Like, whoops, there's a little scratch there. We'll deal with that sometime. Yeah.
Yeah, where in New York, your head would blow open.
I would just be like hyperventilating. Maybe in a few years, I'll be able to enjoy it there. And then you want to know why I'm single. Let's just add this to the list, okay?
Well, I get it.
You got it.
I'm just so happy that in this house, Steve and I have separate closets.
Yeah.
So, but if I can see that his drawers are left open, I still have to go in and close them.
See? You
Like
understand.
I catch it out of the corner of my eye, and he says, "What do you care?" And I say, "Because I know it's open." So I
Having
get
your
it.
own closet. That's a good thing about this house.
Yeah, we have our own, each have our own closets, but I can still see what's happening in his when I
Yeah, the
walk by
drawers
the
should be
door. Of
closed.
course they should be. And there's a reason there's a hamper.
And everything should be nice and neat in the drawers,
Exactly. I
you know?
totally get it.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. I love you so much. Let's do this again sooner rather than later.
Yeah.
I think for this next, my gut says we always expect summer to be a little quiet, but my gut says there's going to be a lot happening this summer.
I have a weird feeling because I mean the Diddy and just Travis and Blake and I mean there will be updates next month
Oh, yeah. And I think we're
by
going
the
to
time
know a
we speak.
lot more about Housewives and Below Deck. I think
Beverly Hills.
Beverly Hills, we're going to have a lot of information. David, I love you to death.
Love you dearly. See you soon.